guys, here we are with the eachine f22 mini raptor jets. And what do I think about this plane? So I've talked about this a lot. I really love this plane. It looks fantastic. It flies really well if you can get it in the air, and it takes off very well from the floor so long as you start it off on cement that is nice and smooth. Right. Having said all that, it does have a lot of drawbacks. So one is it's more of a mid-level plane more than a beginner's plane because it will fly a lot faster than something like this here, which is a glider. What do you call these things? Yeah, well, anyway, this is a glider here, or even something like this, like the 787. Both or all these planes will fly a lot slower than something like this. And then I tried hand launching this thing many times. I did a horrible job, and so it has a very weak front. As you can see here, it has been damaged multiple times. And another issue that it has is if you absolutely suck at flying like I do, I'm just a beginner. I'm just not that good. I need to be at least an intermediate level to be able to do decent landings with this thing, because the rotor, as you can see here, just keeps coming off. I've created this one, which is great. It flies better than the original. It's smoother, it's slower, and it gives it just as much power that you need, but not speed. So it's more controllable than the two-bladed rotor. But anyway, what happens usually is, as you can see, it's mounted over here like so, and I think the original was a little bit, possibly a little bit longer than this one, but anyway, when you try to make a landing with this thing, it'll do this, and unfortunately, because the landing gear that it came with was not long enough, it would scrape on the floor, destroying the blade. So unless you're really good at landings, yeah. Anyway, so what I think eachine should do, because they have a lot of promise here with this plane. I mean, just the looks are just fantastic on this thing. For something that you could buy for under $100 and that has all these control surfaces, which means it can do loops, rolls, and all kinds of fantastic stuff, it just doesn't make sense to not do these extra things, which is put on a decent set of wheels, you know, put some decent landing gear. I got these from Hobby Zone. They're fantastic. It's like the stuff that you put on the what is it, the Trojan, the Trojan Mini. If you guys have ever seen that yellow plane, it is fantastic. It's one of my favorite planes. I was never able to afford it full price because, you know, it's Hobby Zone grade, but I bought the spare landing gear, which I've been using for a lot of the experimental birds that I work on, and it's great. You see, I changed the shape so it's pointing a little bit so that the nose is a little bit further down, and this during the takeoffs has actually helped avoid that rotor in the back from touching the ground and just breaking off every time, because it would do that. So that's one of the flaws of this plane. And again, this is constructive criticism because I want this company to do well. Eachine builds some awesome things, some trucks that I've tried, which are awesome too. And if they just made these small modifications to this thing would be something that perhaps even beginners could get into flying, and they would love this thing. They would love this thing. I love this thing, and yeah. Imagine what would happen if they put some decent landing gear. Because the other thing that I did with this was, because I crashed the front, I lost the front landing gear, so I had to put this on here. And then later on, this thing had a hard landing, and one of the wheels broke off. And when I put it back on, they would spin at different speeds, so then it would make the plane turn like this on takeoff, which was a horrible thing. An absolutely horrible thing, which just made me crash the nose even more. But anyway, you know, eventually after so many different times of putting this back together, breaking it and putting it back together, I just realized that if it had decent landing gear from the start, from the get-go, it'd be great. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you all in the next one. Take care.